Good evening, my name's Kerry Duval, I am the Warrior Queen, and an audience with the Queen is back. I've got my amazing fellow warrior Andrea Evans waiting in the green room. See you in a minute. Did you enjoy your little dance in the green room? I know I did.
I was in there. The music is uplifting, you know. You just sit in there and rock back and forth.
Yep. I will admit, if I'm ever feeling a bit rubbish, and this going back to the Annette show earlier on, I didn't mention it on that one, but going on YouTube to listening to the theme tune, having a little bit of a boogie.
Yeah, get your groove
a smile on my face. That's all I feel a boogie. An audience with the Queen is back. Welcome to it, Andrea.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you, Queen. I think you are the bomb. I love watching your podcast shows and your episodes.
Did you tune in with Annette?
Do I choose you over Annette?
Did you tune in when I was live with Annette earlier on?
Yes. I was like, what do you mean? Look, yes, I did. I tuned in.
Yeah, you know, Annette was brilliant. I loved it, and she's going to invite me back on at some point, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm just waiting for a message from her.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
the Warrior Queen is back with a bang, back-to-back shows.
I know. Wow.
And I get to jump into the guest seat and be a guest, and I enjoyed being a guest, but then I get to jump back into the horse seat.
So which one you like? You like both?
I like both, yeah, I do. I really like both. Okay, I think being a guest is good because you don't have to think about the questions, but being a host, you get to throw the questions at your guest, and that's the best bit because I don't have to think on my feet and answer the questions. It's like,
I understand that. Yes. Yeah. Well, kind of.
We've got a really important topic tonight of the dangers of bottling our emotions. So, have you previously had any experience of bottling your emotions?
Yes, I have. I think I used to. I'll say think for others, like my children, for instance. I would think that maybe they don't want to be coddled too much. You know what I mean? Like hugs and sending affirmations and stuff like that. And I'd be holding that stuff in, and then I'd be moving on it and wouldn't be giving them what they want, and not realizing that that's something that they would want, and bottling up, even asking the question of them if it's something that they like. It has really hindered, you know, I feel like years of communication possibly with my children and others in my life and situation. So yeah,
and you know what, I've previously had my own experience of this also. I did touch on it a little bit with Annette, who's in the comments here. That for the 2 years that I was in Liverpool, well, not me in Liverpool, my dad was in Liverpool, and I was basically being played past the parcel with between my mum and my dad. I was unable to talk to him, so I had to bottle a lot of emotions, and I think that's why the self-harming started. So bottling emotions can do that to you. It can cause you to look for a way of expressing that pain and anger that you've got, all them emotions that are bottled up inside you. You start to want to express them, and that's how I chose to express it, through self-harm. And nobody noticed I self-harmed. Nobody. So I was either very good at hiding it, or just nobody was noticing it.
I don't think even me when I've done, you know, I've been involved in self-harm, and I didn't even know that that's what it was. You know what I mean? Working with youth today, and you know, some of them used to have those issues and challenges with cutting, and I
Mm.
could relate to them. I didn't actually cut, but I did used to pull layers and layers off of my feet till they bled, and didn't realize that that's what it was. And that was the result of bottling up stuff, I realized. And yeah, we are, that is a process of bottling up stuff. And that's the way I could feel the pain in my feet. I could feel it after I went through that process of, that anxiety, because we feel anxious all the time when we bottle stuff up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I was going through it, it was the only way that I could make myself feel something was through the cutting my arms.
Hmm.
So I would continually cut, and it was being 3 or 4 cuts in before I actually started to feel anything. So the
Hmm.
first 2 cuts, I didn't feel anything. And then when I started doing it a bit more, that's when I started to feel it.
Hmm.
Um, and obviously that's how I dealt with it.
Well,
And
that's not.
I suppose at the time, I didn't know it was self harm. It's only really when I've been doing all my college things over the last 2 years that I've learned what self harm is, and I thought to myself, hang on a minute, I've done this, cutting
Hmm.
myself until I felt something. That was me. That was me self harming. So I
Hmm.
think at the time, I think it's if you don't know what it is, then obviously you're going to keep doing it because you don't know what it is. You just know that it helps you in that
Hmm.
moment.
Hmm.
Obviously, through learning about mental health, I've learned that it was self harm, and I suppose mental health, self harm, they are connected quite a lot. And
Hmm.
self harming, it doesn't have to just be cutting; it can be burning, scratching, picking of sores that are already on your arms. Maybe you've been
Hmm.
scratched by your dog or your cat, and you continually pick that little scratch. You know what? That's
Hmm.
again all that.
Yeah, that's
So
true. That's
yeah,
true. And the impact that it's having on me right now is, if I feel like I want to start on my feet, and my family knows, I've alerted them to this. And, like you said, picking the skin off my legs, sometimes I get, I'm sitting there, and that anxiety's going, and my parents will tell me, stop it. My children will tell me, stop it. If they see me start messing with my feet, they're going to go get me lotion and stuff. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
not realizing that that is self-harm. And to look at it from that perspective, Kerry, I think that could be a pivotal impact in me not doing that
yeah,
anymore.
yeah. I just want to pick up on that because we've had a comment off Annette. She used to scratch and still does with some anxiety, and I'm glad that Annette said this because so do I. There's been a few times where Adam had to say to me, stop scratching because I sit and do this, and I don't know
Hmm.
I'm doing it sometimes, and it's because of my anxiety that I do it, and I just carry on doing that, and Adam tells me to distract myself with something else. So I've got
Hmm.
tennis balls in the house, I've got stress balls in the house that I just sit and play with, or I do that with a tennis ball sort of thing.
Look.
Exactly, little
Hmm.
things like that. Even, as stupid as it sounds, little fidget toys that the kids have got, sit and play with one of them. We don't have any around at the moment to show you, but we do have lots of little fidget toys in the house. Being an SEN house, we have to.
Yes.
We've
Yes,
always
I
got
need.
something fidget. I mean, I've left the house without the kids and had a fidget toy in my handbag. And I've been like, what the hell?
Right. That's actually
That's just
that's
being a mumble.
absolutely. So I think a lot of people today, Carrie, just by what you said, just like me, I think we're all enlightened by the fact that when you say self-harm, everybody just assumes that it's the cutting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they
so
do.
yes, you're laying out, and me as my example of, what I do, and as well as Annette, you know what I'm saying? This is a pivotal impact I feel that it can have on people, because we don't realize really what self-harm could be. Some people think they take it to the other extreme, and it means something like, doing something real big other than the things that we're talking about. But
Yeah.
knowing, what it can be and labeling those things, I think it can be helpful. It's helping me to think of that in a different way.
Yeah, and obviously self-harm, it is a big topic. I mean, there's not just the extremes, so the cutting and the burning and the scratching. It can also be things like physically harming yourself, scratching and cutting, but then it also can be drinking alcohol excessively and drugs and get my words out. Right, and taking drugs. That can be self-harm as well. So,
Yes.
I mean, there's got to be a line between um, enjoying a drink, so
Right.
having like one or two at night times just to help you relax a little bit, knowing your limits, but then
Mm-hmm.
going to the extreme where you're drinking excessively every single night and then you've got a
Mm-hmm.
problem there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and alcohol. Adam has put alcohol misuse, substance misuse. That is self-harming. Yeah,
Yes, it is.
yeah, and Annette's just put that. Hang on a minute. It can be food also excessively eating.
Yes.
Yeah, that's also a form of self-harm. You know,
You guys
going,
are just hitting them targets real hard. Yes.
mhm.
Yes.
I mean, going through the mental health courses that me and Adam have done, um, things like eating disorders
Mm-hmm.
are sometimes linked to self-harm because making yourself be sick after you've eaten because you don't want to lose weight because you've got that fear of gaining
Mm-hmm.
weight. I mean, making yourself be sick, that's harming your body because when you're making yourself be sick, all your stomach acids are coming up as well. So that's going to harm all your food pipes. I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
technical words for them, so I'm just going to call
Mm-hmm.
food pipe. You know, I don't know the technical word. Adam will probably pop up with a technical word. He's done all human body science stuff. We've given
Yes.
it.
Bring it on, Adam. We learned
No,
so
please
much
don't.
from you.
No, please don't. I don't know all the technical words for it.
But
No,
I
I
will
don't.
say, we talked a lot about feeling anxious all the time, and bottled up emotions. They find a way to they're gonna come out some kind of way, Carrie. And we just spoke of self harming as one way, and how that can be eating disorders and all that.
Yeah,
And
it can.
so
And
that covers
interesting.
everything.
While on the topic of self harm, your mum, I believe, used to
That's
use a
mommy. Hi,
scrape gun
mommy.
or a nail file and scrape the cuticles until she bled.
I
Again,
did that. I used to do that.
that's a form of self harm.
Yes, it
So
is.
anything
Yes, it
like that
is.
that you think there's a coping mechanism to help yourself can be a form of self harm.
Yes, it
Yeah?
can.
Self harm isn't
Wow.
just the cutting and the scratching or the burning. It can also be eating disorders, scratching yourself, using a
Right.
pin to make yourself bleed,
Yes.
picking
Because
picking your skin off your feet.
it could be all of that. Yes. Wow. You guys are we're hitting it. We're hitting hard here because I don't think I even looked at it that way. I bet you if I look at it in a different perspective, maybe that'll make me stop. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
I used to. I know what that is. You know what I'm saying? I've been there. So maybe that'll make me. The thing that made me stop. I used to pick holes in my stomach, lay in the bed by a poisonous man, and I would lay there and pick these holes in my stomach. And one day I took a picture of it, and to look at it, it
mm.
hurt me. It hurt me deep. You know what I'm saying? Because I guess
Yeah.
I realized,
That's called shock therapy. So you take a
well,
picture of it and you force yourself to look at it, and that's basically a shock therapy. So basically you're shocking yourself into stopping the behaviour.
and I did stop. I
Yeah.
stopped.
No, shock therapy it does work for a lot of people, but then there's also other people that just it doesn't work for. Again, therapy and mental health, it's not a one size fits all.
No, it's
Something that
not.
works for one person might not work for another person.
That's right.
It's just one of those things. This is why we need lots of different methods to help. Again,
Like,
touching on self care from Annette.
that's true. As well as, I'm all about music and art therapy. Those are some things too. I do that now instead of well, I'm not with that poisonous person either, but I stopped. I was still doing it after that person got out of my life. And like you said, that was shock therapy, because to look at it, oh my goodness, it would make my heart feel heavy. You know what I mean? I would be like, oh my good, I felt sorry for myself. I mean, maybe in a sense, to where I would say, you're hurting yourself. Stop it. And I
Yeah.
was able to quit doing that.
Yeah.
But wow, shock therapy. So, and another thing, you know, we end up feeling lonely.
Yep.
And that still can have the same reaction that we're talking about. But holding our thoughts in and not getting clarity, even with someone else. I mean, I might see my sisters together, and I used to feel like, well, they left me out. They don't care about me. They left me out. They didn't invite me. Well, that's one way of looking at it. And that can make you feel lonely, and then when you get to looking at that, your thoughts will take you to, well, then you'll say everybody, you'll put everybody in there and make it to where you are feeling alone, even though you may have hundreds of people that show you love. If you're bottling stuff up, they don't realize you're bottling it up.
Yep.
And you can feel, it'll make us feel lonely. I have 7 children. Why should I feel lonely?
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, it's all right to look at some. So, an example that comes to mind from me is my mum, who I don't have the best of relationships with. She'll invite my other 2 sisters to go to bingo, but she won't invite me. And when I see the posts, well, I don't see the posts anymore because I blocked them all on Facebook.
You got to do it.
But when I have seen the posts, it's, well, why wasn't I invited? Is there something wrong with me? Why do they not want to invite me? Why do they not want to spend time with me? I mean, I'm her daughter too. Shouldn't she want to spend time with me? And all these thoughts come into my head, and then I tell myself, but hang on a minute. For one, while I'm not at bingo, I'm saving money that I can spend on enjoying time with my kids. Or even just I can order a takeaway and chill out with my kids. Or I can put that money towards a day out with my kids and making memories with my kids. So I think of it that way. I've saved money.
That's right.
And the fact that going there, I'm probably going to end up having an argument with my mum or my sisters. So it saves me from having an argument. So in a way, I've won by not going.
You do.
And obviously it took me a while to have that mindset, but now that I have that mindset, I'm like, you do what you please, I do what I please, I save money, I'm not bothered. I'm away from your drama.
Exactly. That's true. That is so real. And another thing, we talked about latching on to unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, when I felt like, everybody in the family hates me, or that, you know what I mean? When I was down in that side of mindset, I would think, well, this poisonous man, although I know he's poisonous, he don't want to work, he don't want to do nothing. He's hurt me, he's hurt my children, but he's the only one that loves me.
Mm.
That type, putting yourself in that type of mindset, because you're bottling up emotions and you're not talking or getting it out of you in the proper way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Being able to be real with people. Yeah.
While we're on the subject of, we'll have a comment from Adam with a question. I love Adam's questions. Why do you think males bottle emotions?
Well, because they have to be considered as tough. That's what society says.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of stigma around men to be tough providers, sort of thing. But then in this sort of society now, there's a lot of there's a lot more equality now. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, some men stay at home and do the mother role. Mm-hmm. Stay at home, look after the kids, do the school run, while mum goes out to work. But then obviously there are still those households where dad will go out to work and mum will stay home and deal with everything. But then again, there's a lot more equality in things. And
That
again,
is true.
we don't always have. You know, I do have to point out, not every household is mum and dad. Some children have two mums. Some children have
Yes.
two dads, and those households are exactly the same. You know, where one dad will stay at home and work while the other dad goes out and earns the money.
And some of them have a single parent.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
single parent.
Mums as well. Yeah, where while mum goes out to work, this go and stay with grandma or granddad or aunties and uncles.
Or sisters. My eldest children helped a lot with the younger ones
Yeah,
in my
exactly. So
situation.
obviously we do have to be careful when we say about about that sort of thing. There is equality. Households are a lot different than they were in the past.
That's true. And I want to say, growing up, and mommy, I want to thank you for this, mommy. When I had my first child, I had a son. And I know grandpa, he's in the military and he didn't show emotions. You know what I mean? He was a tough guy, did everything a man was supposed to do. Um, and my son was playing with a doll. And he was like, "You don't need to be playing with no doll. Boys don't play with dolls." And my mother stood up and said, "Yes, yes, father, because it teaches them how to be a good dad. It could be a way to teach them how to be a good father." And so, yes, looking at
Yeah,
things in different perspectives.
yeah. I
Yes.
mean, I've seen these posts of little boys playing with dolls, and it's what you're scared they're going to grow up to be a dad. That's the thing. No, it's teaching boys that if there is a baby in the household, maybe they have a younger sibling that's a baby. You
Mm-hmm.
know, looking after that baby is an important thing because it's a skill that if they learn how to change a nappy, obviously if they're
Mm-hmm.
old enough. I'm not
Yes.
saying get a 1 year old to change the baby brother's or baby sister's nappy. I'm not saying that.
Right.
If they're old enough.
Yes. My kids were old enough to
Yeah,
babysit.
if
Yes.
you're old enough to help out, I mean, with Lucas, when Tegan was born, Lucas was 18 months old. So Lucas would sit next to me when I was changing Tegan's nappy, and he would pull the wipes out the wrapper and give them to me. That was him helping. In his own little way, that was him helping, and that was enough for his age. He didn't have to do anything else
Yes.
with the wipes.
Yes.
Throwing him on his sister's face as well. I didn't ask him to do that, but hey ho, siblings for you.
Yeah, yeah, they want to help. There's nothing wrong with that at
Yeah.
all. Now, another thing, we talked about eating.
Yep.
Annette was talking about eating, and so there we go. We'll experience unexplained weight fluctuations because we're bottling up emotions because we're
Yeah.
eating for comfort. What do they call it when on every show? Comfort food. Comfort
Yep.
food.
Yeah, comfort food. So that's also something. Well, it can be binge eating, which is a type of eating disorder.
Hmm.
So, as somebody is basically they're waiting till say the evening, and they're eating and eating and eating. So they'll eat like 3 or 4 meals or 2 meals and lots of snacks maybe, but then
Hmm.
they'll starve themselves all day before, and then they'll binge that night. That's an eating disorder.
Wow.
It can be classed as an eating disorder.
Hmm.
So, and that in itself is a form of self harm,
That's right. And then that
and that
causes
comes from bottling
digestive
emotions.
issues
And
as
that always
well.
ties back to bottling your emotions.
Hmm. It'll help, like when I feel it, I think now that I'm aware, like when I don't bottle stuff up anymore. I have to let it out. I'm able to talk and go to my mom and tell her what I need from her as opposed to thinking she should know. You know what I'm saying? I can
Yeah,
open my mouth and say, "Hey, I need you." She may not be thinking of how I'm thinking or in the mindset that I'm in. So I understand that and I'm able to open my mouth and say, "Look, I just need a hug," or you know what I mean? I just need to lay in your lap for a minute, and just being able to open your mouth and say something because the digestive problem, I feel my stomach hurts. Your stomach hurts when you're bottling stuff up, and that could cause constipation. It could cause maybe you to have diarrhea. It could cause some problems. It could cause ulcers.
It can, and when a child tells you, I've got stomachache, it can not only be a sign of the bottling emotions up, it can also be a sign of mental health as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it can also be anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to watch out for that. It could be that they've got a little bit of a stomach bug
Mm-hmm.
or a little bit of indigestion maybe. But then it
Mm-hmm.
also could be the bottling the emotions up because they want to talk, or
Mm-hmm.
it could be that they've got mental health issues. So you can't rule anything out. Basically, you've got to explore it further and then obviously
Yes.
decide which one it is as a parent. Obviously, parents know best.
And it's the same with headaches. I used to get migraines really bad, but I don't get them. I don't. Let me knock on wood. We don't want none, but I don't get migraines anymore.
Oh, I do.
Shifting that well, if it's stressful, if it's a stressful, but not like I used to, honey. I used to have them all day, every day, be all off balance and stuff. Um, you know, if something happens, like boom, like for instance, if my baby has a seizure, well, yeah, I might have a headache after going through the motions of all that. Um, and another thing, I used to hold my breath. And I didn't realize I was holding my breath. I'd be feeling all dizzy, thinking, oh, I'm stressed out. Well, my mom would say, breathe. And I'd say, I'm breathing. But no, I'm not. I'm sitting there holding my breath, get ready to pass out, not realizing that I'm
Yeah.
holding my breath.
Yeah, and while you're on the subject of passing out as well, one of the physical symptoms of bottling your emotions is actually can actually affect your blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I had to do a little bit of research on if there was any physical effects of it, and obviously that's one of them. I'm not an expert. I am still learning. We do have to do a little bit of research sometimes when we come into these topics, and we want to look like we know what we're talking about. I do know what I'm talking about with self-harm.
I do. Well, that's why we're here, because we're sitting here telling our experiences, of examples you know, how we bottled up emotions and how we reacted, maybe, in unhealthy ways. We've hit on all of them. So we may not be the experts, but we do have lived experience.
Yeah.
And that's
Exactly.
important.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, when you're dealing with mental health, I'd much rather go and speak to somebody that, all right, yeah, has the qualification to help me, but
Mm-hmm.
has been through it themselves as well, so they understand it. So if I ever had to go to a counsellor, I would ask them, "Do you have any of your own mental health challenges?"
Mm-hmm.
And if they turned around and said no, I'd be like, "Then what gives you the right to sit there and sprout stuff to me when I'm the one going through it?" You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now, I mean, Adam's got his mental health therapist qualification. I've got my mental health therapist qualification. And I can sit there and I can say, yeah, I've got all these degrees, but I've also got the experience to go with it. I've been in that dark place. I know what self harm is. I know what wanting to kill yourself is. I've been
Mm-hmm.
there, been through it. I've not
Yeah.
had an eating disorder. You know, I've not had an eating disorder, but I've read about them. But I know a lot of the mental health around the eating disorders. So worried about your self-esteem, which
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem actually is another thing of bottling emotions. It affects the way you think of yourself.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or be in a situation where maybe someone who, in my situation, it was, someone who molested me as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew to be forgiving, but you have other family members that want that person around and bring that person around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not, and guess what I would do? I would bottle up how I really felt about it, and just go with the flow. And that's just not healthy. You have to be able to speak up for yourself and let people know, hey, that's not healthy for me. I can't be around that person right now.
Yeah. I mean, this happened with us previously because What it was, I kicked my parents out of my life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the kids said that they wanted grandma and granddad. Well, Lucas said grandma and granddad, Tegan just said granddad. And so I'm like, right, okay, I need to give the kids the chance to have a relationship with their grandparents. Because otherwise it could reflect badly on me as a mother. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be in that situation. So I tried to do it where they would have a relationship with their grandparents, where I tried to keep my distance as much as I could. It just didn't work out that way though. So now it's a case of um, they don't see the grandparents as much as I would want them to because of the issues between me and my mother. So I mean, I would
I
love to
can
have
understand that.
the relationship that you and your mum sound. It sounds like you a brilliant relationship. I would love to have a relationship like that with my mum, but I don't.
It took work. It took work, honey. It did because I had a lot. What's the first thing kids usually do? They blame their parents for everything that happened to them. And I used to do the same thing. I had to grow up, and I hope other people can grow up a little sooner. When it comes to that,
Yeah,
I I don't have that. I can't blame her. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't there.
yeah,
All I can do is let her know. If I don't open my mouth, that was my situation. I wasn't opening my mouth. I was having expectations of my parents that was kind of, well, just thinking that they should know as opposed to letting them know. That's an assumption that they know, isn't it? In my mind. So at the end of the
yeah,
day, I've come a long way with that because I realized where my part in it was. And you know what I mean? I had to open my mouth. How do I can't be well, I can be upset and I was, but the thing is, if I don't say what I need and give her the opportunity, or my parents the opportunity to give me what I need, I just grew up and learned that we do have a better relationship because of my mindset and the way that I think.
yeah.
But my situation is, I'm sure, is different than other people's situations.
Yeah, I mean, with me growing up, I mean, she blatantly come out and said that I was a mistake, that she never wanted me. So with me, it was, I blamed my mum. So a lot of the issues that we had growing up were between my mum and dad.
Hmm.
So they would argue constantly around us, and I'm talking every single night. They'd be down each other's throats. I'd be waking up and there'd be broken things all over the house. So, it sort of was my parents' fault. And
Hmm.
then my dad left to go and look after my granddad. So he left the family home and it became a one parent household. And I got left with a parent that I couldn't stand. I mean, before he left, she'd already told me I was a mistake and that she didn't want me. And she always treated me differently to my brothers and sisters. But then my dad left me in that situation. So I do blame my dad a little bit for my self-harming because that's when the self-harming started, when my dad was away. So if
Well,
my dad hadn't left me, maybe I
that's
would have
true.
self-harmed. But I can't have that in my head, all these what ifs and maybes, because I can't go back and change.
Mm-mm.
Speaking of going back, we have a question off Adam. I love your questions, Adam. If you saw your younger self who was isolating and self harming and bottling emotions, what guidance would you give yourself? It's a really good question.
I love it. Um,
Um,
I would say to myself, you're not alone. You don't have to bottle it up and hold it in. You have to let it out. And even if it's uncomfortable for you to talk about it, you could play music. Again, I go to art therapy. I think that saved me so many times growing up. Art and drawing and getting it out of me telling
Yeah,
my younger self there are other tools and ways. Utilize those tools as
yeah.
opposed
I
to
think
hurting.
using the knowledge I know now, I think if I could go back and find myself in that point starting to self harm, I think I'd say that's not the answer.
Mm-hmm.
It might feel like now that that's the way out, but it's not. You know,
Mm-mm.
there's so many other ways of dealing with what I was going through at that point. You know, finding somebody to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. Maybe I'd tell myself to go and search for Adam because Adam.
Go find Adam.
Yeah, I mean, I know his address. Well, his old address now. You know, I know his address. You know, so I know where he would have been. Go and knock on his door and ask for Adam and talk to Adam. Adam's reaction in the background was priceless.
Oh my goodness. And another thing I would tell myself, it's okay to cry.
Yeah, it's okay not to be okay, and it's
Yeah.
okay to feel like absolute crap.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you just need to talk to somebody. So you know, even if it is, go to the school counsellor or something like that, talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And your mother has replied, she'd tell her younger self that she was worthy and don't
Harm.
harm. Yeah.
Yeah, Mom, you put an S in there, but that's all right. We know that that's an A.
I thought HSRM might have meant something else. I was going to ask what, but if it's harm, it's harm. Okay. And don't harm yourself. I think what she was going to say.
That is true. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people think they're not worthy, and they bottle those emotions up of not feeling worthy.
Yeah.
And I mean, in my situation, going out in the community and fighting hard, well, working hard and trying to make a difference, and you have people that won't even back you. You know what I'm saying? You have to deal with people that might be intimidated by you, and they hurt you.
Yeah.
They hurt you and reject you. That's harmful. You know what I'm saying? Bottling that up. No, don't bottle it up. Let it out. Let it out.
Yeah,
Let
and I
people
was going to
know.
actually come on to that. I mean, what advice would you give to somebody that's bottling emotions at the moment?
Acknowledge the emotion. Acknowledge it.
Yeah, and acknowledge that that you've got them emotions inside you and you want to talk. So
Hmm.
find somebody you can talk to,
That's right.
or find something that is going to let you express the way you're feeling in a non-harmful way. So maybe painting,
Hmm.
cooking, going exercising, walking, something that's productive. So channel all them emotions that you've got into something positive. So if you've got, say, a piece of paper, even some old wallpaper that you've not used, flip it over, get some paint and throw it at it. I mean, I've seen this thing on television where you get water balloons and you fill them up with different coloured paint and you throw it at paper. I would love to do that because it just looks so good.
That
Maybe
does look.
like
It
that.
sounds good. I can see it in my brain.
Exactly. I mean, you've got this huge piece of paper and you've got these paintballs and you just throw them at the paper. You just think that's be a great way because you can pretend they're little balls, or maybe you're feeling angry and you throw it. No, Adam, we're not promoting violence. We're going to pick up on this one. We're not promoting violence, Adam.
Oh, don't be trying to throw stuff at Carrie.
Now, if it's a water balloon and all it's going to do is cause a little bit of wetness on your top, absolutely fine. But not paint. I don't like that idea of having paint thrown at me.
Yeah, don't throw
Throwing
paint. She
paint
said
at
it's
paper
okay to throw some
sounds really
water
good.
balloons.
Yeah, water balloons, absolutely fine. I mean, who didn't have them as a kid? I know I did.
I love.
Dropping them on my friends' heads from
Yes,
upstairs.
yes. Water balloons are fun.
Open the bathroom window, drop it on your mate's head.
Exactly.
You
That'd be
know?
fun.
Yeah, things like
I,
that.
I think another thing is owning our responses.
Yeah, Yeah, take ownership of your way you feel. Take ownership of how you respond to that.
No more
So,
picking.
yeah, no, yeah. Stop scratching. Maybe use Andrea's method of take a picture and use shock therapy. Shock yourself into stopping doing it, or have a look maybe on Google at some images around self-harming. Maybe that will shock you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? I mean, there are a lot of methods out there to stop self-harming, but then there's also a lot of methods how to deal with the mental health as well. So whether it is talking to somebody, a family friend, a family member, a friend, somebody at work, somebody at school, your school counsellor maybe, or a teacher. Yeah. But then there's also professionals out there, so doctors, therapists, counsellors, they're all available.
That's
But then
true.
there's also different ranges of therapy. So art therapy, throwing
Mm-hmm.
paintballs,
Mm-hmm.
throwing water balloons full of paint at paper. I'd love to try that. Maybe I will try that at some point.
Oh
That would
my
be
goodness.
art therapy.
Video it.
Yeah. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna go and see if I
Oh
can
boy.
find some big pieces of paper and some water balloons and some different colour acrylic paints or something like that, and maybe do it with the kids. They'd
That would
probably
be
love
so
it.
cool.
They'd probably
Yes.
love it. Adam, let's give it a go. Yeah.
I
Anybody
like
know
that
where I can
idea.
get a big piece of paper from without buying some wallpaper?
Yeah, because that do it outside.
Go to B&Q in the clearance aisle. They normally have wallpaper that's like £1 or £2 a roll.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we do that.
That sounds like
It's cheap
fun.
enough.
I like that idea. See, you
Oh,
just
it's
started
cheap.
something.
Bonus.
Yes, we're gonna have the paint drop challenge going on.
Yeah, give it a go. You know, have a little bit of fun. And obviously, if you're a parent doing it with your kids, think of all the wonderful memories you're going to create as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
But
you know what, Andrea? Thank you for
yes.
an amazing show. It's been
Thank
absolutely wonderful
you
to have
for
you here.
having me.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
Tomorrow,
you're ready
look.
for tomorrow night with Adam.
Yes, tomorrow night. Look, self care, y'all.
Yeah, Adam did say to warm you up for tomorrow night, so do you think you're ready for tomorrow night?
Oh yeah, I'm ready. You know I did my
Yeah.
research on that too.
There you go, Adam. She's ready. She's all ready for you. I
I got
wonder.
notes and everything. I'm ready to go. Yes, I'm even more informed. Thank you. Y'all give me things to go look into, and I learned more.
Yeah. Well, that's what we want to do. So thank you again for joining us. And thank you everybody for commenting. See you later.
Later, y'all.
Bye.